Munitions exhausted.
Trigger bites instead of pulling. The lasgun coughs sparks where light should be. My gloves smoke along the seam. The vent rack spits amber into the fabric, and the stink of hot resin slicks the inside of my helmet. The hall is wet stone, peeling paint, and echo. Across the collapsed doorway, something moves behind torn drapes of plaster dust. I slap the side cover, murmur the little words we're taught, to aim at the dark like it's a mouth opening. Breaths stack into minutes while orders die into fog on the Vox. We move anyway, up, then left, boots slapping in water, hands brushing the rails because the lights complain and flicker. Sergeant doesn't look back. He is a wall going forward. Johnny keeps the mag lamp high. Mikkel checks corners with his bayonet, not the muzzle he trusts steel when glass lies. My last counter reads 9 bright squares through a clouded window. On it has read 9 since dawn. The smell here is old soap gone rancid, burst pipes, and a sweeter thing that hangs low like syrup. I tap the plasteel of the charge pack with my knuckle. It should hum. It clicks instead like a coin flipping in a jar. I do the grip prayer again because Corda says the machine only answers if you believe your fingers are part of it. I believe because the alternative is to go empty. Left, he says. We go left past a mural where all the eyes have peeled away, and the floor is speckled with priest wax from the opening rites we weren't invited to. My boot sole slaps and peels the glue the quartermaster swore by lets go like a scab. Something metal rolls somewhere and clinks to a stop against another something metal. We breathe. The dust hangs a thumb above the floor. The lost counter still says 9. Janny whispers, "Your pack's leaking." I glance. A thin fog threads out of the power cell seam, cold at first and then warmer. "I've got 9, I hiss. Like the lie can fix it, Sergeant doesn't turn. If it fires when told you've got enough, I shoulder the stock harder and try to make the weapon feel like an arm again. It doesn't. It feels like a bad dog only pretending he won't bite when you turn. We rise another landing. The light strips rattle, try to work and fail with a soft moan. I can hear my heart in my jaw hinge. We hold, we wait, we move. Johnny checks her grenade. The paint on it is bubbled from some old burn. She mutters, and the pin looks welded into a loop. She says another prayer and kisses her thumb. Down the long corridor are offices with clear doors. Nothing inside moves except my reflection, a shape with a big head and a too small body. The flak plate's making me a square. The belt ride has slipped, the buckle is cracked. The pouch holding my second pack hangs like a wet fruit ready to tear off. I try to fix the strap while walking and jab myself under the ribs. I grunt as Mikkel snorts a laugh that he swallows behind his teeth. The Vox, hung on Pole's shoulder because he drew the lot, breaks into static that forms words like men dragging themselves out of a trench. Hold, stairs, 2 levels, hold, hold. Pole thumps it the way the tech trooper told us not to. The band loosens from his ear, he catches it on his jaw and tapes it down with a loop of binding he keeps wound around 3 fingers. Paul always has loops. We reach the big stair and find others, in lads from 3rd who look like us only with more daylight somewhere in them. Everyone's kit looks like it has been gnawed on by rats. One man's flak chest is split along the seam and sewn back together with wire. Another's rifle muzzle is black with soot on one side only. The Sarge from 3rd taps his watch that isn't working and says, "Up, up is more of the same." The smell changes to burned rubber and that sweet thing turns sharp like dead flowers, and the hall opens to a central space with a hole in the roof. Rain falls in a thread. Above the hole is a crawly shadow that moves with the rain. The shapes we came for are edging at first and then suddenly when the lamp catches full. They are larger than the frames of the doorways. One has a jaw like an engine hood. Another drags a chain that has metal teeth bigger than my hand. Their steps grind the floor. They don't rush yet, and they know the building the way a bull knows the field where he kills and sleeps. Sergeant raises 2 fingers. We take positions behind an overturned desk and a line of filing stacks. Someone has smeared holy oil over the metal. It gleams like a snail trail. It's slick. My hands come away with it and I wipe them on my fatigues, which are already shine wet from the stair sweat. The loss counter says 9. The little leak smokes more. I press the pack harder into the housing and the smoke changes color, the way breath does when it's cold. I settle. I sight. I wait for the word. The word doesn't come, just the first of them stepping out so close that if my loss strikes at all, it will have to strike true. I see their armor. No, not armor, I don't know the word. I see plates over plates, studs like eyes, a symbol that was black and is now brown with soot. I don't aim at symbols because I've learned symbols don't bleed. Now, a CREDO says like a door shutting. I squeeze. The trigger gives. The rifle coughs a half-light, spitting along the barrel vents. The beam fans thin and crooked as if I were throwing a thread. It strikes the plate thing and dies. The smell is hot hair. CREDO's shot paints a clean white line and something yowls. Janice's grenade doesn't go because her thumb trips and slides on the welded pin. She curses through her teeth. Pole's Vox screams, and he smacks it and it goes dead as a rock. We fire anyway because that's the ritual. Give, 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 and maybe it will take. Mikkel's shots stitch the air right. He must have the good pack or the good coil. He breathes in clipped little bursts like a runner. I copy him, but my light dribbles and drips. They come on. The chain teeth eat the desk. Metal screams and wood turns to splinters that pepper my cheek under the rim of the helm. I lose sight for a blink, and in that blink my barrel spits a tongue of hot white at my own fingers. The leather blackens. I smell fat rendered. I forget to scream. I work the clip release and it sticks. I hammer it with the heel of my hand and feel something give. Then the charge pack slides loose in a way that's too smooth. Hold, CREDO says, but his voice is 2 rooms away in a box. I shove the pack back in hard. The seams light orange for a breath and go black. My counter still reads 9, and I line the sight on the thing with the chain and squeeze. A crack, sharp like a board snapping over my head, rips the rifle, not the air. Weight leaves my hands and comes back worse. The stock punches my shoulder. The mag coil glows like a stick from a cook fire. Then comes the wet sound. Mikkel's shout with the last of it choked off and a smell like burning tin. I look and he's looking back at me, not at them. His left sleeve from elbow to palm is gone, not torn, melted. And the bones I see are pink and white and then red because the blood finally remembers itself. He blinks hard, shakes his weapon off his fingers because the heat has turned the trigger like wax up into the guard and it sticks to him. That's the break. That's the cut in the world. There was before when we had all our pieces and the enemy was a distance. There is after when Michael's hand is a black flower blooming out of red meat and my rifle casing is cracked along the vent like a smile that's too long. He makes a noise I don't know how to put into a word. Janny drags him back by the collar. She drops the useless grenade to do it and it rolls in a ring and stops by my boot. The pin glitters. Maybe it wants to come out now. Maybe now is the minute. I don't try. The enemy steps through smoke as if smoke has made them braver. Back, CREDO calls. He doesn't look at me like it's my fault. I hate him a hair for that because if he looked it would mean there is a rule to this. He just fires, and each shot sounds like a line drawn that the world tries not to cross. I dump the bad pack, slap it to the floor, and it bounces and skitters under the desk. It hisses. It is a small animal dying, all sound and light with no body. I slam in the second pack. It doesn't seat. I have to turn it, force it, swear. I bite my lip so hard I taste the inside of myself. The last counter on this one is also 9. "Hold left!" Third sergeant yells, but the left is already rope slim, and one of theirs shoulders through the filing stacks like a tunneler. My first shot with the new pack flares clean and true and leaves a starburst on his chest. It keeps him from making the next step the way a hand on your ribs can stop your breath. Another white line from CREDO takes him across the throat and he folds like a sack. The chainman lurches up and into us and everything is teeth and swinging and sparks. I use my bayonet because I have it and because Mikkel trusts steel, and it bites on a seam and skips. My wrist jumps. The enemy's breath is hot and complicated like a forge with a dead animal cooking in it. He smells like cordite and fat and rust. He backhands me with the chain casing and the world goes to spark rain. I hit the floor and my helmet slides over my left eye. The strap has loosened a notch it refuses to keep. I tear it down with 2 fingers and get to a knee. CREDO is beside me without being beside me. He reloads like his hands are not his. I copy his motions and my hand comes away black with something slick. The side of my rifle has a meaty film. I don't want to know whose. We stagger backward through a spill of paper and metal into a new hall that pretends to be safe with its clean walls. Shots cut lines through that lie. The Vox starts again with a dead man's voice. It prays through the static. Words we all know catch and break. Pole knocks it to make the prayer stop. Pole's hand shakes. He has bound it tight with his own tape, and the tape has blood darkening where it catches on the hair. We hold another desk. The light strips here work for 3 breaths at a time and then give up like men under too much weight. Shadows jerk and dance and lay still. Mikkel won't let Johnny use the knife because the knife is for food and jamming a spine out of fabric, and he can still wiggle his fingers on the hand he has. "I've got it," he tells her. He is lying to her and to himself with a thicker faith than mine, and I love him for it and hate him more because he's better at it. He pins what is left of his forearm under his knee and jams his belt around the top. The buckle snaps. He laughs small and mean and knots it the other way. I shoot. The shots don't land where I aim. The scope lens is spidered from the chain hit. Half the world is cracked lines. I close the eye, feel the sight groove against the bone under my eyebrow ridge, and guess. A target falls. Another doesn't. When one lurches aside and for a second is a man again. A man with a face, but then a bite of light from third takes him and carves out the face shape so it is a hole through to plaster. Our flak vests grind under the straps. Mine does something soft on the right rib. The plate there has unseated. It has been loose for 3 weeks and the armorers say that is how it rides on me. It pinches when I turn. I turn and it pinches and there is a shooting pain that is not a last beam. And I resent that pain as if it is a traitor. I push the plate down with my wrist and the strap pops 2 teeth. The vest opens like a book. I curse and close it with a short strap from my pouch while rounds snap around my ear. Janny finally gets her grenade open by smearing oil from the desk over the pin and rocking it with her thumb knuckles while her fingertips stay flat. She throws it while laughing at it for making her beg. It goes off with a sound like a door slammed in a far room. Our dust coughs blue. We don't cheer, we don't have that in us right now. We keep going because the alternative is to stop going. CREDO taps my shoulder. His glove leaves a print I don't recognize as color. "You with me, Corin? Im with you," I say, though I don't know the name he uses for me because the world has moved and names slough off like old skin. The enemy lets us breathe just enough and then comes again. There is always a ridgeline in their charge when the room feels like it tilts into them, and our shots seem to slide off a glass hill. I sight on legs because legs are common to everything that walks. The beam bites along a seam and the light reflects orange. One trips and his hand goes out to catch the ground. I see the pads on the gloves and the holes where pads have been rubbed to nothing. Fault lines everywhere. We back and back until the hallway ends in a stare down. Someone on the lower floors fires up blindly at the echo of our retreat and chips plaster around us. And the chips taste chalky and sweet when they touch my lips. On the stair, the air tastes of rust water and old breath. The Vox coughs and dies. Janice lamp sputters. The mag's battery is a rectangle with teeth marks in it where she tried to wedge it into a stuck plate earlier this shift. She hits it with her palm and the light comes on, then off, then on. 2 levels down, hold, Corda says again. We make a stop. Make it, Pole says. Yeah, and he sounds like someone who has swallowed a coin and is trying to talk around it. We make it to a landing where a vending machine has been tipped to make a wall. Its printed window shows a woman smiling with a drink in her hand. Her teeth are very straight and very white. Someone has shot all of them out of her mouth. We pile there. Johnny slaps more oil where we might need it. It makes the metal smell like bread for half a second and then like blood again. Mikkel sits with his knees up and his eyes half shut. His mouth opens and closes in small shifts like he is saying something only to himself with words so small they don't come out of his mouth. Pack, Corda says to me. You've got another? I hold it up. The window shows 9. He nods like that means something. Make it count, he says. He touches his rifle to mine as if they are in a choir and need to know each other's notes. We hear them find the floor above. We hear the chain teeth on the banister. We hear their footfalls like hammers on a drumhead stretched too tight. The vending machine vibrates. I press my shoulder into it. It is slick. It wants to move. I am small next to it and to the coming noise. The stairs become a throat. Johnny looks at me, then at Mikkel, then at the grenade she doesn't have, and then at me again. She nods once like a person decides to step into cold water. I want to tell her not to try any heroics because heroics get you dead twice. At once when it happens and again when stories steal you and have you do something you didn't. I don't say anything because I know I will need whatever heroics anyone has that they can lend the squad. They come down like a machine that learned to walk wrong but faster. The first drops a shoulder against the vending machine to jam his bulk through. My shot climbs his arm and leaves a black burn that opens like a flower and fast forward. He grunts and the sound goes through my chest like I am a drum. The third sergeant throws a clean burst that splinters the top of the banister. Corda takes the knee of the second and he slams into the first and both stack for a beat like logs in a river. I take the shot the world gives me. The small gap at the angle of armor that is not armor, whatever those plates are, and squeeze. The beam is straight and kisses the notch and light pours into dark like rain into a bucket with a hole. He goes soft, and the chain falls and clinks down the steps in a sad way that pretends knives are on it. I breathe once like a landing, then my rifle seizes, no trigger, no give. The cooling rack rattles with a sound like sand. The barrel's color is wrong, a dull bruise. The cable to the power cell smells like burned hair. I slap the side panel so hard my palm numbness makes my wrist warm. The counter still says 9. I think of throwing the pack to them, and I think of ripping the leads and making a bomb in my hands that might decide we are all guilty. I think of Mikkel's hand and know what the pack can do to a person made of meat and decision. I keep it in. I bang the magazine well again. Nothing. The trigger is a lump. They come again past the stacked bodies. The chainman's friend has an axe of some sort that has static running along its edge. The hair on my wrist lifts as if reaching for it. Corda shoots him in the chest, and the axe keeps asking questions as it falls. We don't have answers to all the questions. I jam the bayonet forward because that is what I have. It kisses a thigh and skips, leaving a lick of blood. He backhands me. My helmet rim cuts my eyebrow open. The blood is hot and feels like a glove of water closing over my right eye. Mikkel, Johnny says, and I turn because his name still means turn. He is trying to stand. He shouldn't, he does anyway, and his face shines the way wet gravel shines. He has my bad pack in his left hand, the hand he still owns. He kisses it like a saint and throws it overhand at the mouth of the stair. I suck air and time slows down enough to let me notice three things. The pack rolls to the left instead of straight. It stops against a step edge with the seam up. The little smoke that leaks from it is no longer white but black, like a thread sinking into water. Then it opens with a screeching sigh, like all the breath in the building is being let out through one vent. A cloud spits like lightning without a sky. The front of their line swallows that light. The flash paints their insides as shadows on the wall behind them. Silence slams in after the sound. I hear my own breathing. I hear the little drip of rain through the hole 2 floors above. I taste metal. I blink blood out of my eye and it strings like syrup and takes a second to let go. Down, Corda says, and we go down because the way is ours for 3 breaths. We step over what they leave. Heat climbs the stairwell from the pack bloom. It warms my shins through my trousers. Janny stares at Mikkel with her mouth a straight line. He looks at his left hand, the good one, as if it belongs to someone who did the right thing and might demand an accounting later. We fall to the next landing. Someone below us knows we're coming and tries to give us a present. A round zips and coughs sparks off the rail. The vending machine down here is already on its back with its mouth open and the sweets gone. We arrange ourselves behind it. We point our muzzles at the voice of the next minute. "Corin," Corda says again. I answer because I am still here to answer. Can you make that thing wake up? I look at my loss. The trigger hangs half out of its place, cooled not enough to be a trigger, not hot enough to be anything else. The coolant sleeve has split, and the sights are double. It is a dead animal at the end of a road. I push the trigger with my thumb anyway. It moves a hair, sighs, stays where it is. I push harder and feel skin give on my thumb. Blood slicks the metal. I smell myself. No, I say. The word is dry. Take poles, he says. Pole hears, nods, unhooks his sling, gives. The muzzle is pitted at the lip. His battery counter shows 3. Make it enough, Corda says, which is a joke that in it. We hold there. You time as a man tapping a finger on a tabletop with patience and then with less. Mikkel slumps sideways. Janny props him. She binds his arm proper now with a strip from her shirt. The strip has a pattern that someone's mother probably sewed into it once. It is too pretty to be here. It is too soft for the work. It soaks through and goes dark and keeps doing the job anyway. They come again. They always do. The first burst from Pole's rifle kicks and sings right. The second is a cough. And the third is worse. The beam moves like a lame dog. I wait on it, ease the trigger like I'm opening the lid on a box with a snake in it. It goes, it hits. I tell it thank you because I want it to remember being useful. We trade ground, a stare at a time. My breath is a coin I pay in and never get back. My hands stop shaking not because I am calm, but because the muscles quit arguing. Paul laughs once for no reason anyone sees. He takes a round in the tape on his wrist, and he looks at the hole it makes in the sticky cloth and nods like a craftsman who has figured out why the piece didn't fit. Janice Lamp dies and does not answer any strikes. She throws it away in disgust and then looks for it, sorry, as if she changed her mind and wanted it back even if it was stubborn. The stair goes dim and then black. The only light is the white from the lasers when they consent to flame and the yellow from the dying halo on the exploded pack above, in which sheds sparks now like a hearth burning down. I hear bootsteps, not ours. The sound makes the bones in my forearms ring. CREDO puts up his hand and flattens it, and we lower our muzzles and hold our breath, and even our hearts try to be soft. The steps come and then go past, cut off by a slam and grind of a door on the level below that must be as heavy as a truck. We breathe again, and it hurts. Someone cries far away. Even the cry belongs to a kind of person I don't know. It is too thin for a man and too thick for a child. It has a mechanical catch in it, like gears slipping. It goes on until it ends the way a lanyard runs out among sailors. There is always something in this place trying to teach me what I can't learn. We keep. We do the small parts. Check blocks, pat pouches, wipe sweat and oil out of eyes. Look at each other to prove we are not either brilliant or dead, only present. My canteen, when I try for a sip, gives me a taste of rubber and the drip of rust like licking a battery. The cap thread has crossed and won't seal. I drink a mouthful anyway and feel it run down under my shirt along my chest, cold as river water, then hot. And then, the lull. They leave us for a moment because they are listening to another part of the building call them like their names are in its walls. We sit. CREDO doesn't tell us to. He sits first. His rifle rests muzzle down between his boots. His hands hang and his fingers tremble the way wires do when you pluck them and let them hum until they forget the song. I work the last of Pole's charges out of the sack while he tapes his wrist again with a fresh loop, humming a hymn the Vox was trying to tell earlier before it forgot the words. The charge slides into the well with a reluctance like an arm into a tight sleeve. The counter says 3. It blinks and becomes 2. My thumb has a flap of skin lifted by the dead trigger. I press it down, smooth it, blow on it, and watch it rise back up like bread and know it won't stay. Mikkel snores once and scares himself awake and tries to smile. The smile goes away when a cramp hits his face. He stares at the strip of shirt and the knot and asks the knot to hold. Johnny leans on the vending machine and her head droops and jumps up again, like a soldier on a long march. CREDO leans in. "We're going to move on my mark," he says low. "Down and left. Corner position. We don't chase, and we don't boast. We do it or we do it dying." We nod. None of us think that is funny. He counts on his fingers. On 2, the vending machine shivers. On 1, the stair above us wheezes smoke that smells like old coins and peppers. On 0, he rises and we rise. We move. Down and left. Corner position. We don't chase. We don't boast. We do it or we do it dying. The first 2 rounds from Pole's rifle is now mine, carved lines that lift dust like jugs poured out. The third doesn't. It tries and fails, and the beam comes late when there is nothing left to hit. I slap the side of the housing with my palm. It purrs, then coughs like a sick dog. I squeeze the trigger again and feel it decide to work. The white is thin and wavering. It writes a shaky letter against the bulk of whatever is turning the corner at us, and that letter says maybe. I step to cover a hole I see that no one else can see because it is my size and my shape, and the flak plate on my right side shifts and opens again and scrapes under my skin like a door turned wrong in its frame. I press it with elbow and shoulder and hold it with my own body while I fire. The rifle warms and the warmth climbs my fingers. Paul yells behind me the tape has stuck to the vending machine metal and won't let his hand go when he tries to move. He rips free and leaves skin. The chain clinks on the stairs above. CREDO sends 3 clean lines into the sound. Johnny throws a handful of screws because she has them and it feels like doing something. They patter on armor or note armor and do nothing, and she smiles at their silly noise anyway and then raises her rifle and puts a line where screws couldn't. We reach the corner. We become the corner. The world narrows. It is just us in the air and the white-hot thread I keep trying to sew through a cloth that has eaten needles for years. The weapon bucks and whines and heat builds. I know the smell now that scared me before. The smell of a coil asking to be a candle instead of a coil. I could slow down, ease shots. I could. I don't. I keep the trigger tight because the gap we cover is too small to let doubt pass through. The indicator on the pack blinks to 1. I look not at the number but at the way the light dims as if it is considering leaving early. The rifles paint bubbles along the top guard. The vent holes spit. I taste copper, I am biting my tongue, and it is a ritual too. Hold, Corda says, and we hold, we do it. Or we do it dying. I can't tell which until the top of the stair coughs out a new smoke, thicker, darker, smelling like insulation and fur. They are moving away or shifting or regrouping or dying. The difference is not for me to decide. My legs shake. My hands won't open. When I try to ease off the trigger, it sticks. I press it and it stays. I pull and it groans and frees, and my thumb skin tears more and leaves a smear on the guard. We don't chase. We don't boast. We stay where we are and count heads and parts. Pole is missing a glove and a strip of skin. Janice's hair has singed along one edge under her helmet, and she smells like a campfire. Mikkel hums a song I don't know wheezy, and his lips are blue around the edges, and the strip of shirt holds. Corda checks the stair with 2 eye widths and draws back again. He nods, then nods again, and then sits. We sit. We breathe like we might be allowed. He doesn't smile because it wouldn't fit. I look down at the rifle Pole gave me. The housing is warm enough that it feels like a thing alive. The pack counter shows 1 red square that flickers and then steadies and then flickers like a heart remembering and forgetting. The trigger is silver where my blood has wiped it clean. The vent line along the barrel ticks as it cools 1, 2, 3, in slow. A metal clock that tells a private time. I put the muzzle on my boot, safe as I can, and rest my hands on the guard and feel the tremor come up through the metal and into me and back again. The strip of skin on my thumb lifts and lays down when my pulse hits it. The seam where the pack meets the body leaks a thin white line of vapor that smells like old candles and hot coins. I press it with my nail until the hiss quiets and then returns, soft and constant like breath against a door.